Did you know that the most valuable truck you can own right now isn't on a dealership lot? It's sitting in someone's barn. New trucks hit $86,000 or more. Hundreds of Toyotas need engine replacements. Ford dropped 150 recalls in 1 year, and the old truck everyone told you to dump is now going up in value. The game has completely flipped. The great price collapse. What new trucks actually cost you? Let's start with the number that should make every truck buyer stop dead in their tracks. $86,155. That is the actual MSRP, sticker price, of a 2026 Ford F-150 Platinum sitting on a dealership lot right now. Not a supercar, not a luxury SUV, a pickup truck, a vehicle that was originally designed to haul lumber and pull trailers. But here's where it gets even more absurd. You'd think stepping down to something simpler, something like the XLT trim, cloth seats, nothing fancy, would bring you back to reality. Nope, that'll run you $66,740. Still want to go simpler? A two-door, long bed, bare-bones work truck, the kind your grandfather would have recognized as an actual truck. That's $45,375, and it doesn't even come with a V8. Now let's rewind. Back in the mid-1990s, a base model truck cost around $15,000. Adjust that for inflation, and you're looking at roughly $30,000 in today's money. That means the most basic new truck on the lot today costs 50% more than an inflation-adjusted 1990s truck and delivers a fraction of the mechanical simplicity. And Toyota? Don't think they're off the hook. Their entry-level Tundra SR5 is sitting at $58,654. Want the TRD Platinum? That's $76,484 for a truck. With a twin-turbo V6 that has already proven itself to be one of the most problematic engines in recent memory. So what does all of this mean for the old truck sitting in your driveway or tucked away in someone's garage? It means it's worth more than you think. A lot more. The depreciation trap. How new trucks steal your wealth. Here's something the dealership will never put on a window sticker. The moment you sign those papers and drive a brand new truck off the lot, you lose approximately 20% of its value. Instantly. Before you've even made your first payment. On an $80,000 truck, that's $16,000. Gone. Just like that. For the privilege of being the first person to sit in it. And it doesn't stop there. By the end of year 1, that truck has dropped even further. By year 3, you're looking at a vehicle worth significantly less than what you owe on it. A situation the finance industry politely calls being underwater. Most people don't even realize it's happening until they try to trade in or sell. Now flip that around. An old truck, a clean, well-maintained late 90s or early 2000s half-ton, or a solid older diesel, has already absorbed every bit of that depreciation hit. It took that punch decades ago. What's left is stable value, real value, the kind that doesn't evaporate the second you pull out of a parking lot. In fact, the market for clean, simple, mechanically honest old trucks has been quietly climbing for years. Collectors know it, mechanics know it, farmers know it. And now, as new truck prices spiral completely out of control, everyday buyers are starting to figure it out too. There are people right now who bought a clean OBS Ford. That's the old body style, square-edged, classic-looking F250, 5 or 6 years ago for $8,000. Today, those same trucks are selling for $15,000, $18,000, sometimes more. That's not nostalgia. That's appreciation. That's a truck that went up in value while a brand new one was losing thousands before the first oil change. When you buy new, the bank owns you for 6, 7, sometimes 8 years. When you buy old, you own the truck, outright, free and clear. And that distinction, that difference between financing a depreciating asset and owning an appreciating one, that is the entire game. The reliability crisis, when new trucks start falling apart. Now let's talk about something the manufacturers really don't want you to know. New trucks are breaking down at a rate that should terrify anyone writing a check for $70,000 or $80,000. Start with Ford. In a single recent year, Ford issued more than 150 recalls. 150. Compare that to other manufacturers sitting at 10 or 20 recalls in the same period. That's not a minor quality control issue. That's a systemic problem, and you're paying premium prices for it. Then there's Toyota. For decades, Toyota built trucks that were legendary for reliability. The previous generation Tundra with the iForce V8 was the kind of engine that could run 1,000,000 miles with basic maintenance. Take care of the basics, and that engine would outlive almost everything else on the road. But the new Tundra? Toyota replaced that bulletproof V8 with a twin-turbo V6, and that engine has been an absolute disaster. We're talking about over 100,000 Tundras. That's not a typo. Over 100,000 trucks that have already needed or are currently waiting on engine replacements, on a truck that starts at nearly $60,000. Let that sink in. And GM isn't sitting this one out either. The 6.2-liter V8 found in new GMC and Chevy trucks has been experiencing catastrophic failures. Engines locking up mid-drive, bearing failures so severe that pistons are being ejected through the engine block. These aren't minor inconveniences. These are complete engine destructions happening to people who just spent $70,000 on a truck they trusted. Now ask yourself, what's the failure rate on a 1995 Chevy with a 350 small block? What's the failure rate on a 2001 Ford with a 5.4-liter V8 that's been properly maintained? These engines were overbuilt. They were running at a fraction of their capacity. No turbos, no cylinder deactivation, no 10-speed transmission trying to optimize every single combustion event. Just iron, steel, and mechanical simplicity doing exactly what it was designed to do. That's why you still see them everywhere. 30-year-old trucks hauling hay, pulling trailers, starting every single morning without complaint, while trucks just a few years old are sitting at dealerships waiting on back-ordered parts or software patches that may or may not fix the underlying problem. If you're finding this information helpful, take 1 second to hit that like button and subscribe to help us reach 100,000 subscribers. Appreciate your support. The complexity problem. When your truck becomes a device. Let's talk about what happens when engineers stop building trucks and start building gadgets. Pop the hood on a modern truck. What do you see? Plastic covers hiding everything underneath. Wiring harnesses running in every direction. Sensors monitoring sensors. Emission systems layered on top of everything else. It's so packed, so engineered, so deliberately inaccessible that even experienced mechanics sometimes need manufacturer-specific software just to diagnose a problem, let alone fix it. There are trucks on the market today where accessing the engine for major repairs requires lifting the entire cab off the frame. Not because it's a better design, not because it makes the truck more capable, but because that's the only way to reach what's underneath all the complexity they've added. And the cost of that complexity? A high-pressure fuel system component on a modern diesel can run into the thousands of dollars, and when it fails, and they do fail, it doesn't just fail quietly. It can send debris through the entire fuel system, turning what should have been a single part replacement into a complete system overhaul. We're talking about repairs that can cost more than some people paid for their entire old truck. Now open the hood on a late 80s or 90s truck. You see the engine, you see the belts. The alternator is right there. The spark plugs are accessible. There's actual space to work. These trucks were designed with the assumption that the person who owned them might actually want to work on them. That wasn't an accident. That was the philosophy. Starter goes out on an old truck, 2 bolts, maybe 30 minutes, and you're back on the road. Fuel pump on an older mechanical system? You can find the part for $45 at almost any auto parts store, install it yourself, and be done before lunch. That's not just convenience. That's independence. That's the difference between a truck that works for you and a truck that holds you hostage to a dealership service department. And then there's the interior. Modern trucks have replaced every physical control with touchscreens. Climate, radio, navigation, vehicle settings, all buried in menus inside a screen that, in some trucks, takes up the entire center console. When it works, it's fine. But when it glitches, and they glitch, you can't fix it with a screwdriver. You can't even diagnose it without a laptop. And 10 years from now, when that screen starts failing and the manufacturer stops supporting the software, that truck doesn't age gracefully. It becomes obsolete, like a smartphone that can't update anymore, except it weighs 5,000 pounds and you still owe money on it. Old trucks have buttons, knobs, switches you can feel without looking. You can adjust the heat with work gloves on. You can change the radio without taking your eyes off the road. It trusts you to drive. It doesn't beep at you, override you, or try to manage your decisions. It just works. The privacy factor. Your new truck is watching you. This is the part that most people haven't thought about yet, but they need to. Modern trucks are connected, constantly. They have built-in cellular systems running in the background, collecting data on everything you do behind the wheel. How fast you drive, how hard you brake, where you go, how often you go there, what routes you take. And in most cases, you cannot fully turn it off. It's baked into the system. And that data doesn't just sit in a server somewhere doing nothing. Insurance companies can access it, manufacturers review it, and it can be used against you in ways that would have seemed like science fiction just a decade ago. Here's a real scenario that's already happening. Someone takes their off-road truck off-road, which is exactly what it was marketed for, exactly what it was sold to do. Something breaks, they file a warranty claim, and the manufacturer pulls the vehicle data. The data shows aggressive driving. Claim denied. You paid $80,000 for a truck, used it the way the commercials told you to use it, and the data you didn't know was being collected just cost you a warranty repair. That's not paranoia. That's the direction this industry is actively moving. An old truck has none of that. No cellular connection, no background reporting, no silent data collection. When you're driving it, it doesn't know where you are. It doesn't care. It's just a machine doing its job. And in a world where everything is tracked, monitored, and monetized, that kind of mechanical privacy is becoming genuinely rare and genuinely valuable. The tailgate symptom: small details that reveal a big problem. Sometimes the best way to understand a big problem is to look at a small detail. Take the tailgate. On an old truck, the tailgate is exactly what it needs to be. Pull the handle, it drops down, lays flat. Done. Simple. Reliable. If it ever breaks, the fix costs almost nothing and takes almost no time. Now look at what manufacturers are doing with tailgates on new trucks. Ford has a multi-function tailgate that splits in the middle, swings out like a door, folds down in sections, and operates with multiple latches and hinges. GMC has a version that folds out halfway, creating a step-style opening. These things are engineering marvels until they break, and they break. And when they do, you're not replacing a simple hinge. You're replacing a complex mechanical assembly that costs hundreds of dollars and requires a specialist to install correctly. This is the tailgate as a metaphor for the entire modern truck industry. Every feature added is a potential failure point. Every convenience upgrade is a future repair bill. Every piece of technology that replaces something mechanical is something else that can go wrong in a way you can't fix yourself. And the manufacturers know this. They've built an ecosystem where complexity drives dependency. You need their parts, you need their software, you need their service departments. The truck that was supposed to give you freedom has quietly become a subscription to their system. Old trucks broke that cycle before it ever started. They were built to be owned, not managed, maintained, not subscribed to, fixed, not updated. The final verdict: who actually won? Meanwhile, new truck sales are slowing. Inventory is sitting on lots longer. Manufacturers are offering incentives to move units that would have sold instantly 2 years ago. The market is sending a signal, and the signal is that people are waking up. The manufacturers spent decades convincing you that newer was always better, that more features meant more value, that complexity was progress, and for a while it worked. But the cracks are showing now, literally in some cases through engine blocks. And the truth is impossible to ignore. Your old truck isn't a liability. It's not a project. It's not something to apologize for. It's an asset. The kind that holds its value, earns its keep, and doesn't report your location to a server farm while you're trying to get to work. The manufacturers played the long game. They built dependency into every new truck they sold. They made simplicity obsolete on purpose. They won that battle. But here's the thing about old trucks. They're still here, still running, still proving themselves every single day on farms, job sites, and back roads across this country. And as long as someone keeps the oil changed and the rust at bay, they'll keep right on winning. The old truck everyone told you to sell just became the smartest vehicle you can own. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's your old truck that's still running strong? And if you enjoyed the content, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and let's keep these old trucks alive together. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.